Hey guys, and welcome to what is no doubt going to be an absolute madness game, as on the left hand side, representing proudly the Sons of the Mountain, we have for Poland and the Lizardmen taking on ODM's very own Raziel. Should be a good fun fight. This is a particularly interesting matchup now, and I believe this was indeed from Turin's faction war, so there was no picks and bans in play. People picked a faction and they had to stick with it for the duration of the tournament, and for Poland is taking my favourite Lizardmen. For Poland's one of those players who recently has been taking the community by storm, improving massively over the last month or so, and really starting to take some big scalps. So Raziel is a OG and quite a tough competitor himself, so there should be an absolute scrap. Now for the forces of the Dino Boys, we have Saurus Spears guarding the flanks, as well as a load of skink cohorts with javelins in the central core with those cohort of Sotek. We do have some Star Chamber Guardians as well as Temple Guard leading the front. I do love me some Temple Guard. They look so badass at all times. Very good up against the Beastmen as well, because apart from Bestigors, they're good against pretty much everything. We do have a double solar engine sitting back here, hiding behind the mighty king of all Lustria, the boy Zlak. Let's give him a little neck scratch there just to let him know he is the best of all the Sego boys. And of course on top of him will be Lord Mazda Mundi, coming in with Apotheosis as well as the Net of Amantok. I like the fact he's gone relatively cheap there, but the Net has such good utility across the battlefield, particularly when you have a Lord who comes in with Banishment as well as Ruination of Cities. Some very powerful spells that can be used really nice synergy with that Net. For the forces of the Beastmen, they're going to be rushing forward with a load of Gore Herds and Ungors dotted all the way along the main battle line, backed up by an insane amount of Centaurs. We have the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run, as well as normal Centaurs on the flanks and more Thrown Axes in the middle. With some Ungor Raiders to back up this rather wide battle line, some Harpies in the sky, and leading the force, we actually have arguably one of my favourite inclusions to the Beastmen army since their DLC, and it's someone we haven't covered too much here on the channel yet, but it is the Doom Bull. Look at how badass he looks. His right hook there is going to certainly pierce through your armour and pack a rather heavy punch. He's coming in with Slaughter Call and he's rolling dirty alongside his Goreball buddy. For the Mage, we do have a Brave Shaman of Death simply coming in with Spirit Leech and what looks to be Soul Blight as well. Not a bad combination whatsoever. So let's get this battle underway as the armies clash together basically instantly. And the Gore Herds are going to be charging in. Meeting the charge though is the Saurus, who countercharge alongside their far more elite Temple Guard brethren, who will have no trouble dispatching the Gore Herds. Good play by the Beastmen though. You can see the Centaurs have already made their way around the flank, looking to poke through the holes of the Dino armour and get to that soft underbelly of the build. The Doom Bull as well as the Goreball are beelining straight towards Lord Mazda Mundi. They need to be careful though. Star Chamber Guardians are here. The Doom Bull has been dazed by a shot from the Bastillodon, and yeah, they really need to pull out as quickly as possible and away from the Star Chamber Guardians, who are going to be eating a Spirit Leech for their troubles. Big fat Shield of the Old Ones goes down here in the centre, should allow the Skinks to overwhelm the Gore Herds when supported by the Saurus, and Lord Mazda Mundi, who is just going to be charging down the line, tusks lowered, not stopping at all, decimating all in his path. On the left-hand side, the Temple Guard have managed to surround some of the Ungors, doing some good damage, but in retaliation, the Ungor Raiders are raining fire in from afar, with basically no counterplay to them, at least not yet. A big fat Ruination goes down, trying to catch the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run, but they should be able to regenerate the majority of the damage they took there. Lovely little hit-and-run attempt so far by the Beastman player. In the main fight, the Star Chamber Guardians once again are pinning in the character core of the Beastmen, and it looks like a big old Bastillodon shot hits the Doom Pool on the side of the face, and he's starting to struggle as Lord Mazda Mundi does charge in. Apotheosis heals up the Star Chamber Guardians, and they are looking for a scrap, and the Doom Pool actually does stay still a little bit too long here. Certainly wants to get running once more. He does not want this fight whatsoever. You can see Zlak using his horns there to gouge giant holes in the Doom Bull's stomach. The Bastillodon has been isolated down on this side, and now the Doom Bull is on approach with the Centaurs. That is going to be a bad day for this Solar Engine, who will certainly get dragged down here. A lovely little net does go down though, catching the Doom Bull, stopping it from running away. That is going to allow the Soul Blighted Star Chamber Guardians to get in there and dish out some pretty decent damage, despite the debuff currently popped on them. Harpies up in the sky seem to have taken some considerable damage, but are looking to surround and overwhelm the Temple Guard with sheer numbers. That is one thing the Beastmen really have going for them. They may not have as elite troops as the Lizardmen today, but they certainly have the numbers. The Gorbel is doing a decent job there up against the Bastildon, slowly cleaving his way through the thick hide of the Bastildon. Lord Mazdamundi, though, is definitely getting the upper hand in this central fight. Shielded Old One's going down, is going to assist the Star Chamber Guardians so nicely right now as they do clear their way through Centaurs. And once again, the Doomball is having to swagger off kind of Conor McGregor style right now. He's pretending like he's not hurt, but deep down he keeps getting his ass handed to him by Lord Mazdamundi. That's going to feel pretty bad. Spirit Leech does go down on the Maz himself, who's now getting focus fired down rather nicely by the Ungor Raiders. And that Gorbel is proving a big problem right now for the Dino Boys, as one Bastildon does bite the dust. Although Zlak, not too happy about this, is going to charge in on the Gorbel, getting some big hits in. The thing to remember with Stegodons is they don't have the best melee attack, but they've got fantastic charge bonus, so bouncing them around from engagement to engagement is the best way to use them. Though one Soul Engine has had to retreat, the other is well and truly alive and active, and quite happily at the moment firing across the battlefield into the heart of the Beastmen build. The Harpies are going to swoop down, looking to surround the cohort of Sotek, who have arrived to aid the Bastildon here. Looks like they're doing a relatively decent job. Ungor are terrified off at the moment. Bastildon still going strong, at least at the moment. We have some more skink cohorts rallying to its cries as well. Lord Mazdamundi is getting very low, but one big, huge thing that Lord Mazdamundi brings to the table is the fact he can heal himself with Apotheosis, and he is tanking so much damage, eating so many Spirit Leeches. It's not even necessarily about the damage he brings to the table, but the amount of resources your opponent has to pour into him to get rid of him. Star Chamber Guardians doing a good job now surrounding the Brave Shaman of Death, as well as those Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run. The Gorbel does manage to retreat, and I think a long, patient game from the Beastmen may be the way to go. Use up all your ammunition, use all your Spirit Leeches possible, and clear up these units on the periphery. That's just what the Beastmen players doing. Some good micro, taking the Centaurs, running over the solar engines, but the one on the left here is still alive and quite happy. Now, it is running out of ammunition still. Bringing the Gorbel over to deal with it isn't the worst idea in the world. That terror is starting to cause big problems, it would seem, as a lot of the Gore herds, as well as Centaurs, are starting to flee for their life. But the Ungors are still there. The ever-loyal Ungors continue to shoot in, and just as I say they're all loyal and ever-loyal, they're actually terrified and running for their lives. It'd be a good idea to hunt this unit down because it still has a decent amount of ammunition. The Brave Shaman does manage to pop a Spirit Leech onto Lord Mazdamundi, or at least it looked like he was going to. The Jagged Dagger maybe cancelled that, and now he's running for his life away from the Star Chamber Guardians and their Temple Guard. The Gorbel was doing a decent job as well, hacking down the second Bastildon here. He's gone for the 2-for-1 meal option, and he's doing a good job. He's coated in the blood of friend and foe. And the poor Bastildon is giving as good as he gets, though, ramming down the Gorbel, and in comes Lord Mazdamundi. Zlak, once again, he has seen the cruelty the Beastmen have done to Bastildons in the past, and he's not about it whatsoever. The Gorbel attempts a little bit of cycle charging, but unfortunately does get caught here in a net of Amantok, forcing it to fight the double dino pretty much alone, because the Goreherds who are rallying to his cause keep running away. A lovely little parting shot from the Bastildon there into the Centaurs is going to break them and force them off. Balance power is currently in favour of the Beastmen, however, but only just. And if the Gorbel goes down, that is a lot of punch just disappeared in a snap of the fingers of the mighty Toad Lord himself, Mazdamundi. Star Chamber Guardians still have 39 models, the Temple Guard 37, and the Gorbel is going to run for its life. The Bastildon with Solar Engine has done some really good long-range fire onto the Doomball so far, down to just 38 HP. Another shot lances across the battlefield, and down he goes in Holy Old One's fire. That is a nice little shot there for a thumbnail, perhaps. Lord Mazdamundi is still looking a little bit beleaguered, but his health bar can be really deceiving, because you're like, oh look, he's so close to death. No, he still has over 2,000 HP. He's a thick dino, to say the least. The Brave Shaman is terrified and shatters, and with the loss of their leader, the Beastmen simply can't hold on anymore, and for Poland's Lizardmen do indeed claim victory. A very Pyrrhic victory. They lost the majority of their forces, but those Temple Guard just stuck it out to the bitter end. Some lovely play with the solar engines as well, and Lord Mazdamundi, in my opinion, though of course he has been slightly nerfed in the recent patch, being a bit more expensive on Zlak, his item also being nerfed to a point, I do think Lord Mazdamundi is still far and away the best Lizardman Lord in the game, particularly when on Zlak. Of course, Oxyotul's really fun, Krotgar's quite good as well, all the Slans are very potent and deadly. To Henowin as well, I think is really, really solid now, because his Law of Magic has got far better, but no one quite tops the Lord Mazdamundi for me. Very well played to for Poland as well as Raziel. These guys are both top tier competitors. Love having them on the channel. We've had both of them on here before, but this time for Poland, who really has... I can't lay on enough compliments to him. He's improved so much. He was already a good player. He is really starting to take the tournament scene by storm. Bringing Lord Mazdamundi, getting an impressive 2,637 damage value, 138 kills, and over 15k damage dealt. Now, Lord Mazdamundi is very expensive, so... just because you see these big numbers, I mean, you expect it of him, right? Otherwise, you're certainly going to lose. But it's also the fact that the enemy had to pour all of their magic into him, all of their ammunition, and they still couldn't kill him. And in the late game, a healing, terror-causing monster is, of course, going to cause you problems. We'll go through the damage dealt and damage value and kills of all of the units in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel as well. It really does actually help out quite a bit. It also helps you guys see my content. And we're going to be dropping stuff every single day as usual. Plenty cool ideas left to come. I've still got plenty left in the old duck tank. Comment down below as well what you thought of the battle, who was your MVP, or just leave a big sad moo if you wanted the Beastmen to win, or maybe a heroic roar if you wanted the forces of the dinos. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links down below in the description to my Patreon. Likewise, there's links to my Discord, where you can submit replays to me, get involved with tournaments and events that I host, and chill out with a load of cool people. But anyway, back to the battle. Lord Mazdamundi, an absolutely beast in this game, helping the Lizardmen secure the Old One's great plan. The Swords of Spears did okay. I mean, not the best damage value across the board, but they got some pretty good numbers on their kills, 69 and 72, helping to clear out the chaff. Cohort of Sotek, one of the best units in the game, so powerful and sticky and annoying, 950 damage value on them. Temple Guard really were some big MVPs. There was no kind of large creatures to cycle charge them to death, like Javasipes, for example, and no huge heavy counters to them in the form of magic that can do it, like Vile Tides and so forth. They did a good job. I mean, 146 kills, 1.3k damage value, over 11k damage dealt, and on the Star Chamber Guardians, 1.8k damage value, over 12,000 damage dealt, and 135 kills, applying that Guardian to Lord Mazdamundi to make him even tankier than he already is. That was some really lovely Temple Guard. They did their job down to the T. They wanted to bodyguard the Slans and Law, and they did that here today. Skin cohorts of Javelins did okay across the board, nothing too crazy to be honest, but applying a bit more pressure to the front line in the early stages of the game. Two units which did really well were the Bastillons with Solar Engines, 1.2k damage value and 440. So this one falling a little bit short, but the other one performing some absolute magic there, really helping to focus down the single entities of the Beastmen forces. Now for the Beastmen, the Doom Ball, only 332 damage value. I kind of hyped him up and bigged him up at the start of the battle. He is certainly a very powerful lord, but unfortunately couldn't get into the right engagements here and really did get countered from afar. The Brave Shaman of Death just constantly spamming that Spirit Leech to try to drag down the Mazdamundi. 977 damage values, not too shabby. And the Gorbel, 1.4k damage value, 3 kills, but he did manage to dispatch one of the Basildons and was doing a fantastic job on the second one until Mazdamundi did intervene. Ungors, as well as the Gors across the board, did okay. Not the best damage value, to be honest. Yes, they can kill Skinks and the Saurus, but the Temple Guard are simply too strong for them. The Ungor Raiders, some good play here by the Beastmen player. Keeping them alive, keeping them firing as long as he did. 750 damage value, 595, 350, and 600. It's some really good work for one of the cheapest range units in the game. Centaurs did some nice hit and runs in the back. You can see 1,000 damage value on this unit. The other one, 493. The Throne Axes, mixed bag. This unit only 440 damage value, struggling to get onto key targets. However, the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run, with their regeneration, allowed them to tank Ruination of Cities and dish out 1,000 damage value in return. Really good play with them. The Harpies were a nice unit to try to get some rear attacks onto the enemy, break the leadership of the Lizardmen, but one does not break the leadership of a Temple Guard so easily. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace, and as always, stay awesome.